As we all know, Ukraine was attacked in February 2022, the victim of a brutal and bloody assault by what was considered at the time to be the second-best army in the world, behind America. What has happened since then has been nothing short of miraculous. Ukraine has constantly and violently bloodied the nose of Russia. The three-day operation to take Kyiv has failed and resulted in thousands of Russian soldiers being returned to their homeland in body bags, but sadly the losses on the Ukrainian side has also been massive, good men and women cut down in their prime. Despite these losses, the Ukrainians have continued fighting and winning, when all other logic considered it impossible. Why? Motivation. It has been proven time and time again that motivated soldiers are highly adaptable, particularly when it comes to change and dealing with adversity. What's more, they bring energy, positivity, and a desire to succeed to the battlefield. This can spread through those near them and thereby indirectly improve the overall performance of the unit. We have also seen the Ukrainian army working with a greater sense of urgency and desire than the unmotivated opposition. So, what is motivating the Ukrainian soldier? G.K. Chesterton said, "A soldier doesn't fight because he hates what is in front of him. He fights because he loves what he left behind." I would say in this case half of that is correct. Russia has not done itself any favors by bombing civilian infrastructure, killing and wounding countless innocent people. This has served as a clarion call for the average Ukrainian grunt to fight and to fight hard. But most importantly, the Ukrainian soldier knows that the very fabric of his country is at stake. Defeat the invader or potentially lose everything you hold dear, including the very culture that defines you as Ukrainian. Rather stupidly, the Russian hierarchy has gone out of its way to speak up their intentions and what they plan on doing to Ukraine post-military victory. We have seen what has happened to places like Bakhmut, Volodar and Mariupol. These are homes of numerous Ukrainian soldiers. They have become symbols of what is happening to that which these soldiers leave behind, destroyed by the invader, and motivating the defenders to fight harder and longer. Then in terms of hating what's in front of him, unfortunately for the Russian soldier, this has become a problem as the war has progressed. More and more violence perpetrated by the Russians on captured Ukrainians, like beheadings and summary executions, has only exacerbated the level of hate felt towards the invader. Then of course there are the mass atrocities like Bucha and the dropping of the Kakhovka Dam, which resulted in the mass flooding of Kherson and multiple deaths. Of course the Russian leadership like Prigozhin doing a recorded statement that Wagner will no longer take prisoners, will only turn the Ukrainian soldier into a highly motivated killing machine. When he is faced with the chance of being shot rather than captured, you have no reason to consider your next step, fight harder, you are dying anyway. Then of course there is the history of Russian-based oppression. I have covered this in previous videos, and it ties back to the potential for cultural decimation. Russia has historically treated Ukraine as its toilet, and the impact on the Ukrainian people has been huge. The Holodomor was just one example of a vindictive Russian response to their desire for independence and self-determination. I have no doubt the Ukrainian people have zero desire to become the next oblast of Russia. Another aspect of the high Ukrainian motivation has to be the international support. Not just in terms of cutting-edge weaponry, which has no doubt saved countless lives, but it has also motivated the average soldier because they know that they are well equipped and taken care of. The donated field hospitals, CAT tourniquets, IFAK medical kits, body armor and helmets all help to keep the soldier safe and ready to do his job. Of course, this makes a major difference to their mental health and desire to succeed. Do you think that the newly formed, largely untested 47th Mechanized Brigade rode into battle a little easier and little more motivated because it was in Bradleys? Of course. Do you think their motivation was knocked back when 8 of those Bradleys got disabled in an enemy minefield along with 2 Leopards? No, because they were effectively trained and instructed on the vehicle's ability and performance. It is a very good piece of kit. Is it indestructible? No. Is the focus of the Bradley on crew protection and survivability? Yes. Will those same troops from the 47th live to fight another day? Absolutely. Which brings me to the other motivator, training. Ukraine has gone out of its way to give the men what they need to succeed. Going back to the 47th, their training was almost exclusively provided by NATO. Combine that with youth and you have a highly motivated team, hell-bent on getting their country back. In case you weren't aware, the brigade commander is Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Sak, and he is only 28 years old. It could be argued that he hasn't had the time to become cynical and that his age allows him to receive instruction better and to take on the advice of those who have been training his unit in the West. What's more, whilst accepting candidates to the 47th, interviewers heavily focused on personal motivation and the philosophy that drove those seeking a place in the unit. In stark contrast to all of this, you have the Russians. The only unit that has been partially successful was Wagner, and their naturally poor motivation for being in Ukraine was propped up by money. The eternal motivator for mercenaries around the world. Cleverly, they also offered freedom to prisoners in exchange for service, not a major improvement to the motivator, but it would have increased it somewhat. The prisoner idea was at least partially successful because it appears that the army has started doing the same thing recently. At the end of the day, the Russian soldiers will be wondering why they are in Ukraine. They know that there is no valid reason for this assault and will have questioned its veracity since it began. They are currently only shown the stick by the hierarchy, and the suffering of their men is terrible. I have covered this scenario in my video on suicides. Most men will know that their officers and even NCOs are completely incapable of leading them successfully, and their lack of experience, knowledge and common sense have often sent their men to their deaths. But in summary, it's clear that the Russian soldier has come to Ukraine undertrained, under-equipped, not supported, and very poorly led. Simple wounds become death sentences, and most soldiers will see it as a one-way suicide ticket. In conclusion, the motivation of the Ukrainian army cannot be denied. It is what distinguishes them from the Russians and helps to drive them forward. I reiterate that the Western support has been critical to the Ukrainian war effort, but I have no doubt that they would fight the invader with sticks and stones if necessary. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like and subscribe. But most importantly, I need your comments.